the City of Magic. Some find Aladdin's lamp, and all their dreams come true, while others pursue the will-o'-the-wisp, felt success, all in vain, then travel their homeward paths disappointed. Many of you folks would like to take a trip through Hollywood, but just can't get away. Well, let's bring Hollywood to you!
Here is the RKO Studio, home of the stars like Katharine Hepburn and Cary Grant, and of course, Mickey Mouse. Walt Disney innovated the way we see animation. Disney Animation made paintings come to life, and he always knew how to captivate an audience with his latest hit, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Now here in the Warner Brothers Studios, home of those notorious gangster films with stars like Humphrey Bogart and Edward G. Robinson, we wander our way to the Leon Schlesinger Animation Studio, where we see our cartoonists hard at work. Warner Brothers Animation did the opposite of what Disney did, going beyond the boundaries of what animation could do, and returning animation to what it originally was, and you can all thank animation director Tex Avery for that.
Many animation studios were trying to emulate Disney, trying to get that next Mickey Mouse.
A lot of the animators were trying to have kind of this Disney influence. You have Hugh Harman, Rudy Eising with their Happy Harmonies. You have Columbia doing their Color Rhapsodies. Everybody was trying to be more gentle and cute in a way.
Disney, sort of has founded an empire. Tex was one of the people who was getting away from Disney, getting away from the sort of the safe humor there.
There was just kind of raffishness about it that really just shattered the Disney mold.
And this nice shift away from the cute Disney into something more transgressive, something more humorous, something more adult that was taking over at that time.
In many of the performing arts, comedy is a metaphor for timing.
He really idolized Chaplin. He loved Charlie Chaplin's character, and he loved his attitude, he loved his gags.
There's a lot of unbridled energy, and especially in the timing of the gags, and especially in those comedians' movements. Like Chaplin had a lot of balletic grace, and a lot of these guys had it down to a science. Tex Avery wanted to do the same thing in his animation.
While most animators would collect their pay and go home to their families at 5 o'clock, Tex would spend hours and hours, day and night, perfecting his cartoons.
And the way he worked so hard, things would be animated, and to anybody that was looking at them, they'd probably be fine. But Tex was cutting frames out, throwing drawings out, working on over a moviola late at night, cutting things down so he could get as sharp as possible a timing into his pictures as possible.
And it can be that single frame, that 1/24th of a second, that will transform something from being sort of funny to being really funny and really accenting the physicalness of that humor.
He wanted to control his timing that way.
It was here, at this dump, called Termite Terrace, where he met fellow animator Robert Clampett.
They were discussing the old Felix the Cat cartoons, where Felix would take off his ears like a hat. He would tip it, and his tail would come off like a prehensile prop. And they were trying to bring back the impossibilities of animation. They thought that it kind of just waned when Disney felt that characters should breathe.
They also had the ability to make films for themselves there to a certain extent. They just had to hand in cartoons on time, and they were able to come up with their concepts and go forward without a whole lot of suits looking down on them. Is this funny or not? Can I push this? Is anybody going to care? They probably won't, so let's just get it out there and see what could possibly happen.
A genius is not just born, rather they are inspired. For Tex, his biggest inspiration was Bill Nolan, one of the head animators at Walter Lantz.
Bill Nolan, for people who don't know, invented rubber hose animation. Animation back then was kind of stilted and awkward, and figures were more rounded, and everything was more loosey-goosey under Bill Nolan. And according to some animators, Bill Nolan would kind of delegate Avery to just improvise animation and gags as it went along.
So in those days, Tex was fortunate in that things were so loose. If somebody had a funny idea, they just let him take it as far as possible, and they wouldn't cut it on him. So that's how he learned to animate. Tex, of course, had a very low opinion of his animation. He never liked it, and that's why he wanted to become a director as soon as he could. And Lantz let him direct a couple of pictures that Bill Nolan, of course, got the credit for.
Tex Avery came to Warner Brothers. He wanted to be a director. He claimed he had some directing experience at Walter Lantz, but he kind of just talked his way into it.
So Tex just came right in and basically filled that spot. And the first picture he made there was Gold Diggers of 49, which featured this little cat character named Beans.
The character Daffy Duck proved to be the golden egg his cartoons needed at the time in order to help them stand apart from Disney's sentimentality. Daffy was zany and off the charts, something 1930s audiences were shocked to see in a cartoon.